Imagine a boy standing under the brightest lights of his life, his small hands trembling as he grips the microphone, his eyes wide with fear, but filled with determination. The crowd is restless, the judges are watching with sharp curiosity, and he knows this moment will either shatter him or change his life forever. He doesn't come from fame, wealth, or privilege. In fact, he almost didn't make it to the audition at all. But when the music begins, those familiar guitar chords of Hotel California, everything changes. What happens next leaves the entire arena in stunned silence, tears in eyes, and finally the thunderous sound of the golden buzzer. Ethan was just 15 years old, but his life had already been marked by hardships most people could barely imagine. He grew up in a small town where opportunities were rare and money was always tight. His father had left when he was 6, and his mother worked double shifts at a diner just to keep food on the table. Music was his only escape. Old cassette tapes, a second-hand guitar with a broken string, and his own raw voice were the treasures he held onto. At school, Ethan was invisible. He didn't have the right clothes, the right phone, or the confidence to fit in. When kids laughed at him for bringing his beat-up guitar to talent shows, he learned to swallow the pain and play anyway. The one person who always believed in him was his mother. Every night, when her feet ached from standing all day, she would sit by his room and listen as he sang. She often whispered, "One day, Ethan, your voice will take you places. One day, they'll see what I see." When auditions for the national singing competition were announced, Ethan almost didn't sign up. Who was he to dream so big? But his mother wouldn't let him give up. She borrowed money for a bus ticket and pressed the form into his hand. "Go," she said softly. "Show them who you are." The day of the audition, Ethan sat in the waiting room surrounded by kids in designer jackets, polished shoes, and expensive haircuts. They looked at him and whispered. His nerves grew heavier with each passing second, and he thought about walking out. But then he remembered his mother's tired smile, the hope in her eyes, and he stayed. When his name was called, he stepped onto the stage. The judges glanced at him skeptically. Another shy boy with nothing but a guitar. "What are you going to sing for us?" one of them asked. Ethan swallowed hard and whispered, "Hotel California." The music began. At first, his voice cracked with fear, but then something happened. He closed his eyes, letting every ounce of pain, love, and longing flow through the lyrics. Suddenly, the shy boy was gone. In his place stood a soul pouring out melodies so hauntingly pure that the entire arena fell silent. Judges leaned forward. The audience forgot to breathe, and even the whispers of doubt turned into gasps of awe. As Ethan reached the chorus, his voice soared. He wasn't just singing words, he was living them. Every note carried the weight of his struggles, the strength of his mother's sacrifices, and the hope of a future he had never dared to dream. By the time he hit the final verse, tears had already filled the eyes of many in the audience. One judge whispered, This is soul." Another clutched her chest, visibly moved. And then, as Ethan strummed the final chord, silence blanketed the room. For a long, breathless second, no one moved. And then it happened, the golden buzzer. The sound of it thundered through the arena as gold confetti rained from the ceiling. Ethan stood frozen, his mouth open, his hands shaking. The judge who hit the buzzer walked up to him on stage, wiping tears from her eyes. "You don't even realize how powerful you are," she said, her voice breaking. "This isn't just talent, it's a gift. You reminded us why music exists. Thank you." Ethan's mother, sitting in the audience, covered her face with her hands as tears streamed down. She had worked for years, carrying the weight of survival on her back, and now she was watching her son's dreams bloom right before her eyes. That night, Ethan didn't just win the hearts of the judges. He won the hearts of millions who would later watch his performance online. Strangers sent messages saying his voice had healed something in them, that his song had carried them through their own battles. He was no longer invisible. He had become a beacon of hope. But the true beauty of Ethan's journey wasn't the golden buzzer or the fame that followed. It was the reminder that even the most ordinary boy, with no spotlight and no privilege, could change the world by simply daring to share his truth. His story became a living proof that sometimes when life beats you down the hardest, your soul sings the loudest. By the end, Ethan's golden buzzer moment wasn't just about a song. It was about resilience, courage, and the belief that even the smallest voice can echo across the world.